Hi there, it's Jane here to talk to you about the photos that were posted for the March's theme of mindful photography. These are the favourites that I picked out, and this was an interesting month for me in a way, as I'm sure it was for some of you, where trying to capture a moment that was special for you, how you felt in that moment, what you were seeing, what you were smelling, what you were feeling, is quite a personal a thing to do. So I think it pushed some boundaries for some people. It opened up perhaps new horizons for others, made you think about photography in a different way. So it'll be interesting to go through these photographs and see what they evoked for the person who took them, and what they say to us viewing them as an outsider without necessarily knowing what they were feeling at the time. So first of all, we have this fox by Catherine Hall, you could say, well, it's just a fox, but actually reading what Catherine put, this is a really magical moment to, she had several pictures of the fox and I just picked out this one. But she said it kind of felt like it was just her and the fox in that moment, kind of eyeballing each other, and that she felt very privileged to see this moment. And to me, that's mindful photography, the fact that it was just those two in that moment and it felt like something really special. And every time she looks back at these pictures, she will feel that way. Now, from a technical point of view, which I hate to do in a way, because I know Catherine's captured a special moment for her, but it's overexposed here, and I'm guessing we're seeing quite a cropped in version of the original photo because of the resolution and graininess. However, I don't think that detracts from the moment and the feel of that photograph. And you could argue that it's wrong perhaps to get all technical about a mindful photo, but as that's what we're about, isn't it? You want me to critique the images for you and tell you. I also know how difficult it is to capture wildlife that suddenly appears in front of you. All your camera settings seem to be wrong and you're panicking, and you're trying to do the best that you can. I think despite all of that, this is a nice capture. Eyes are dead sharp. Fantastic. Look at his big ears. Okay, then this one by Denise Dawson, capturing there was some sort of tribute, wasn't there? The Invisible Fallen. I don't know if that's the correct name, but anyway, I really like this shot. I like the tight crop of it. I like the line of people going along through here, and then the sort of the background sense of place. To it. It looks really good in black and white. She captured a great moment. Everybody's faces are very sombre in keeping with the moment, and it was a very mindful moment for everyone who took part and who were watching. So really suitable for the theme. I would, if this is me being super picky again and jumping along with the computer, I would have cropped out this tiny bit here, but you know how super picky I can be about things, and I only do it because I know you can take it. Okie dokie, on to the next one. This is a mindful moment from Jill Shaw. I wish we'd had this level of snow. I would have been out in it taking pictures. So this mouse has got a twitchiness today, hasn't it? So in of itself, it's not a stunning picture, Jill. I hope you don't mind me saying that, but it's got a nice feel about it. I can feel the cold air. I can almost hear the crunch of the snow, and the silence, that weird silence that you get when everything's smothered with snow. So that's what I liked about it. It was how it made me feel, and not so much about the technical aspects of the shot. So I hope it's okay to say that. Okay, and similar for this one, to be honest, from Tim Heslop. The sky is absolutely stunning, and it would have been a good one to submit for #start as well. I'm guessing it's dawn because of the redness of that sky, but I could have that wrong. But I can get why Tim posted it, because it kind of was a magical moment for him to be up early in the morning watching this magnificent ship cruise ship leaving, and how it felt, how the air felt, how the sea smelt of saltiness. So that's what mindful photography is all about. And there's nothing wrong with the composition there. You know, it's well composed, and you know, a nice moment from Tim. Then we have this one from Karen Herman Wright, and obviously we know where this is. This is at one of the concentration camps, and the starkness of this image, putting it in black and white, is exactly the right thing to do. The snow, it's cold, it's devoid of emotion in some ways, but then it isn't, is it? It's absolutely packed with history and emotion. The emotions it evokes in us are sadness, and it's very powerful. We've got some nice leading lines going on here. The placement of this harsh barbed wire down the centre, the shadows in the snow, it's great and very mindful. And then similarly from Karen, we have these hands touching the wall of, I'm guessing, one of the ovens. I can't remember actually, Karen, so apologies for that. So a very poignant moment of people feeling that they needed to feel. So that's very mindful, isn't it? When you've got to feel the texture of something, press your hand against it to try and understand and relate to what happened on this spot. So again, from a techie point of view, a bit overexposed on the hands here, but you know, great depth of field, just that sort of slither of wall and hand. Okay, then we've got this one from Tim Heslop again, which I love the emptiness of this shot, the space within it. So you've got the boat in a really good place on the intersection of the rule of thirds. Kind of looks abandoned, although I'm sure it'll be floating again when the tide comes in. And all this interest in the mud flats, the sand, while the tide is out. And I like the sort of muted tones of the background. To be honest, I'm not sure about this lilac, and I guess that's been added in processing, personal taste, but I think it would have been better all in black and white, but maybe Tim was trying to add something because he felt it looked a bit muted, but I personally like the black and white better, the grey tones. If anyone's not seen Dirt on Sensor, sorry Tim, I mentioned this at the time, didn't I? This is what Dirt on Your Sensor looks like, that one, and I guess the more you look, the more you'll eventually see. They're fine. You know, you can remove them with editing software. You just use your healing tool, just click on them and they'll go. It's only when you're having to spend too much time doing that it's time to go and get that sensor cleaned. Okay, then this by Denise Dawson, one of my favourites. Beautiful light, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Telling a story, beautiful light, and getting the technical side right. So this light across the middle here, how it's highlighting the writing and the rows, that's obviously what drew Denise to this shot, so it's a fantastic spot. I like the diagonal kind of line that she's got here, and then this bokeh in the background, which is a completely different texture to this, where we've got hard, cold, smooth, through to a lovely patterned texture. I don't know what that was, but it's worked really, really well. And then the softness and poignancy of this white rose contrasting with the hard, cold nature. So a lot of composition is about contrasts, contrasting light, contrasting texture, contrasting feel, contrasting size. That's the sort of colour. So that's the sort of thing that will really work in your composition. Oh, dear me, sorry. Jumpy mouse. Right, we're back to now a landscape by Chris Talbot. Again, quite mindful. You could sit and gaze out at water under a blue sky, watch the clouds pass by. So that's what I like about this. I guess this is a strong enough focal point here, but I'm intrigued as to what's going on here. It's almost like this reflection's been bent. So almost like you'd see it being bent on metal, like a car or something. So I'm intrigued as to how that's happened, Chris. So if you could enlighten me, that would be great. But thank you for submitting what is, you know, a mindful photo, very pleasing, soothing landscape. Then we've got this one from Pete. Now, this in itself, to me, isn't a fabulous photo. I feel like I'm apologising all the time for being a bit critical here, but what really grabbed me about it was the mist and the red coat and her sort of pensive pose. So what I wanted to say here was there were the makings, oh my mouse, the makings of something very interesting going on here. And I think as long as this was your daughter to stalk, Pete, that you could have stalked her down the road a little bit and got her perhaps walking down the pavement with a leading line in front of you with some mist and that red coat, and it would have been a really powerful shot. So thank you for submitting this, because it gave me a chance to talk about, how you can create pictures. Okie dokie. Helen Anderson. Lovely pictures of her cat posted this month, and I chose this one because of this paw here. The texture of that paw, you just want to reach out and stroke it. And then her words behind this, oh, and the nose down here as well. I would put your logo somewhere else on this one, Helen. Put it over in a blank spot up there, unless you're absolutely hooked to always having it bottom left-hand corner, but it's over quite a nice spot, the picture there. Cats, animals, very mindful, aren't they? You sit stroking an animal and the warmth of their body, the feel of their fur, their gentle breathing is so soothing and gets you into that mindful state. So I really like this. I love the square crop. I like the diagonal line across here. This is all strong compositional points, and then the very textured nature and dark colour of the cat versus the contrast of this lighter area here. So really nice shot, Helen. Then this one from Eric Payton, again, very mindful. It's the simplicity, isn't it, that you just gaze at this grass. You kind of ask yourself some questions about where the person is, what do they think about, but I think in its simplicity, you just take it for what it is. And Eric's used a vignette here to draw attention to these stalks, and I think it's nicely done. I'm not always a big fan of strong vignettes, but I think in this case it works. It's almost like you're looking through something at this grass, concentrating solely on that and being in the moment. I'm sounding very arty-farty this week, aren't I? Right, next one. Nice Landscape by Liz Kenny. And again, I could imagine myself sitting there, staring out at that view, listening to the water, listening to the birds wheeling above me, feeling the breeze on my face, just being there. So I love the fact that you've captured a beautiful landscape, Liz. I would say it's a little underexposed. So take a look at your histogram and see if you're too dark in all these areas, because I would suggest there's no detail here, which means it's slightly underexposed. And I know it's tricky when you've got a bright sky, because you've got that sky perfectly exposed. So take a look at it in raw and see if you can lift these shadows a tiny bit. Don't go mad, don't make it look all crazy HDR. But that's what I would suggest. But I love the composition, the foreground, middle ground, background, there's something there. So it's a lovely landscape. And another one by Liz. What I liked most about this actually is the reflection in the boat and how that works. So gorgeous shot. But I think, I would have been tempted perhaps to even crop in on the boat there. But that's the bit that got me going. Sorry if I sounded a bit put off then. Somebody just started to come into the room. Threw me off my stride. Right, so to my favourite for this month. This one is by Elaine Bolton, and I just think it's stunning. I think it captures that whole thing about being mindful, just seeing something for what it is. And appreciating the beauty of the world that we live in, the thing that you're looking at, the light, the delicate structure of beautiful things in nature, and it's magical light, it's beautifully composed, it's beautifully edited, it's quite a tricky shot technically to do, shooting into the light like this. Elaine has done it perfectly, and her words that went with it were very poignant as well, and that, getting out and doing some photography, taking this picture, took Elaine away from some of the trials and tribulations of everyday life. So that's why I picked this one. I thank you all very much for putting your hearts out there a little bit on this theme, and back to feedback on the ground a little bit for April's theme of burgeoning, and I'm looking forward to seeing all your pictures from that, and hope I've not waffled on too long, but hopefully the critique, slightly more detailed this time, I think, has been useful for you all. So take care and speak soon.